Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simply Spooky. And tonight you'll see that I have no Dan. I've been joined by Lois, who is going to be filling in for Dan tonight. And I'm so excited to have Michael. Do you want me to call you Michael Roberts or Michael Dee, or what are we going by these days?
Do you know what? It gets everybody that. Stage name is Michael Dee. Anything acting is Michael Dee, but Michael David Roberts is fine. I mean, I've even put Michael David Roberts on the stream yard.
I know.
We'll go with Michael David Roberts, hey?
I was going to change it without you noticing to Michael Sexy David Roberts, but
I've been all right with that, to be fair.
Just for the ladies in the chat.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got Gary in the house. We've got to say a big hello to Gary.
Gary Fields.
Hello, sir. Gary Fields is there. I'll put the comment in the bottom for you so you can see it there.
He's a good lad, is Gary.
Well, sometimes. I don't want to give him a big head or nothing, you know.
Aye.
That's a Scottish thing to say, isn't it? Aye. So, I know you personally, but for people that don't know you and what you've done, Parker's in the house. He's a troublemaker, he is.
So's that cat behind you.
He's so naughty. He keeps walking in front of me. Anyway, so what is it that you do? What is it that you've done? Who are you? Where'd you come from? What do you do?
Well, that's the age-old thing, isn't it? I'm just sharing the link. I just saw it, then it just popped up, so I just thought I'd share the link. What is it I do? So I am a filmmaker and video coach, and I am, for the paranormal world, I play Merica Laura in Scariest Places, which is a spoof of Most Haunted. And I've been doing that since 2014, and we're still creating episodes now. The cast has changed over the years. And yeah, we're just really enjoying it. We've got 3 episodes this year, so
good.
We'll start writing the scripts in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll start securing the locations, and then hopefully we'll have 3 episodes going out at the start, middle, and end of the year, and hopefully end with a Halloween special. So, yeah,
brilliant.
That's in a nutshell who I am.
And you're a paranormal investigator in your own right, though, as well. You had done in the past.
Yeah, I do believe. And obviously, when we filmed Scariest Places, we filmed in real haunted locations. We don't just find any old place and just film. But yeah, predominantly we do film in real haunted locations. And what is really interesting is the fact that the ghosts are always, because we normally have a medium with us at the time. And what's always interesting is the ghosts kind of go, why aren't they focusing on us? Like, what are we doing? We're banging things, you know, and it's quite interesting that they kind of are a bit confused on why we're there and not focusing on them. So that's quite interesting.
They do like the comedy, the element, though, don't they? Sometimes
they do.
They want to interact with you.
I don't think you humour dies when you go, because my understanding of the paranormal is that we are all energy, and energy doesn't die, and we just live in these capsules called bodies, and then when we die, our energy goes back into the world, into the ether, or whatever you want to call it. So I do believe that, you know, there are spirits that are bound to earth after death, and I don't know what you think of this theory, but you never see a modern ghost, do you?
Yes.
Oh, do you? I've never seen a modern ghost.
I'll show you a picture if you want.
You don't see a lot. There's not a lot of modern ghosts. You'd agree, wouldn't you?
Not a lot,
compared to your traditional Victorian ghost and stuff like that. And I do believe, and this is my theory, that a lot of ghosts from Victorian times were God-fearing. So they were scared to cross over. So I feel like they're bound on earth because they don't want to be judged by God or be sent to hell. Whereas religion, it's so different these days that people wouldn't naturally worry about that dying in today's world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's my theory on it.
I'll have to take you a few places.
Okay.
We'll talk outside of the show.
I mean, I I had this conversation in another group the other day. Somebody had put up, because I'm in this witch group, and somebody put up about, obviously, their opinion about Satan, Lucifer, and the devil. And they asked if, what was people's opinion on it. And I put up without, no, I went to a Catholic school, so this is not to offend anybody at all. But I just think, they weren't evil at all. I just think it's a scaremongering tact in the Bible. I mean, the Bible has, ideally how we should live, but while Satanism says not be the person you want to be. So I totally get what you're saying.
And it's all subject, isn't it? I think we all have different theories on the afterlife. We all have different beliefs. But I strongly believe that, I mean, like, obviously they've debunked my theory that you don't see modern ghosts, and she went, well, I have. I'm like, well, of course she has. They've seen
Well,
everything.
yeah, you don't. Well, I'm a medium, so it's a bit different for me.
But there is still people that are God-fearing in today's world, but maybe
Yes.
not as much, because obviously we've got social media, and I think we make our own decisions on what is what. Whereas I think before the world of social media, I think we were kind of attuned to being told what everybody was saying. Whereas now I think we make up our own beliefs a bit more. So there's a lot more people with a lot more different opinions. But then, I think it is a fact that there are spirits that stay on this planet because of not wanting to cross over.
Yeah.
Either because they don't want to be judged or because they've got unfinished business. So have you seen that film with Ricky Gervais, Ghost Town?
Yes.
It perfectly sums up what I believe is real. If you have unfinished business, you won't want to leave this world until you've been able to get that off your chest. And I think we would consciously do that in the real world. We would do that as human beings. If we had unfinished business, we'd want to have our say. And I don't think our mindset changes when we die. I think we still have those same concerns and feelings even when we've passed over.
I know, Michael, that you also do. I've got to bring this in because it sort of ties in. It ties in with this a little bit. But you do through is it Take the Cake Productions, you do tutorials and how to use the camera, how to speak, how to look into this and do that and the other. But when you do it, you bring the feel good factor in with it. It's
in
like
how I present and how I like
how you present and how you talk about what to do, how to look at the camera and all that sort of thing. And it makes you, I mean, after I've seen these, I come away thinking, yeah, I feel really good. And I've not actually listened and learned, but I've come away, just listen to the way you talk, because I'm thick, you see. I'm not technical minded. But it's the way you present yourself, the way you talk about knowing yourself, knowing what you want to say, that sort of thing. It's like you give us, it's not a lesson in camera work necessarily. It's like a life lesson without actually realising it. Do you know that, Michael?
I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I'll definitely take that. But I mean, I'm very much a guy that, I mean, for most people that know me personally, what you see is what you get. You could say that I'm sitting here having a conversation with you now, but this is exactly how I would be if we were in the room talking to each other. I'm very much a wear my heart on the sleeve kind of guy. Don't really hold too much back. Far too trusting, but I've learned over the years not to be. So I'm building up the resilience on that one. But I just think that life is such a wonderful thing. Now, I'm not saying that I'm positive all the time, but even in your darkest moments, you can find something that is worth taking away from, whether it be a breakup or whether you've fallen out with a friend. There is always something where you can go, do you know what? I'm going to learn from this. How can I learn from this? And it's that whole self-development. So everything that I do in my life, I do purely through passion. So I think, I mean, I'm quite philosophical, but at the same time, I'm quite realistic as well.
Yeah. Gary says life coach ad as well.
Oh, yeah.
He agrees with me.
I learned everything from Gary, to be fair.
He's a good lad, he is.
He's all right, yeah.
He's all right. We don't. But we
He's
won't
all
tell him
right,
that, though.
apart from he's a Liverpool supporter, so.
Hey, watch it,
Yeah.
you. We're going to enjoy the game together. Watch it.
Don't, because we got Jamie on here as well as a Liverpool supporter.
There you
I
go.
think
See,
this-
now.
He's a wee fanny, so.
Oh, there you go. Don't hold back.
The Scousers have taken over tonight. So Jason is from Portland. He says hello.
Hey,
Hi,
Jason.
Jason from Portland.
He's a lovely.
It's
Look at that
raining
gorgeous
there,
dog. It's what?
It's raining there.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
They can't have nice weather and must have horrible weather.
I've just met
Nigel's.
Hey, Nigel.
Hi, Nigel. He's from the North Pole, apparently. He must be freezing.
Yep. Hey, Robert.
Robert. Oh, that's William. William's come on as Simply Spooky. He's in
All right,
Portland.
I was wondering who was there because my hands are free.
Oi and Scouse 2. Jamie. Jamie's from Liverpool.
There we go. See, outnumbered
is it?
tonight.
He's no got a Liverpoolian accent. He's backside.
And is it Rosie under the Brave Paranormal? She's in the house.
She's under Rosie, aye.
And Rita says, hello, hi Viv, Lois, other person, and Kat. Look how wonderful that other person is. Look. I'm
I think I'm other person.
Your other person. You're the other. So I want to talk about, let's start with from the beginning. Let's start with Scariest Places. I know that it's a spin-off spoof of Most Haunted, but how did that start for you? Where did you get the idea? Because I know that you're a comedian. I know you didn't mention it, but you are.
Comedy's always played a big part in my life. And I suppose going back to what you said about you're such a happy, bubbly person. I know you didn't word it like that, but that's what you were kind of saying. And I think humour and comedy has always been a big love of mine. And obviously my production company predominantly creates video content for businesses now, which pay bills. But I do also film, produce and edit my own independent comedies. So obviously Scariest Places was one of the biggest ones that I did, and we started that in 2014, and we filmed the last episode after a 3-4 year hiatus. So it is technically back, and we're planning to do 3 episodes this year. We are just confirming locations and stuff, but for me it's Scariest Places started before the business was a business, really. Take the Cake Productions was literally just a YouTube account where I just created loads of spoof sketches and comedies and acted stupid. And when in your early 20s, you're kind of finding yourself. And I was creating loads of videos, and I used to do just spoof characters. And I always loved Most Haunted. And I always loved Derek Acora. And I just did a character called Merica Laura, and the first ever little episode I did was in North Wales at a castle, castle ruins, and it was just and that's where Merrick. So Merrick came before Scariest Places, and I used to tweet them to Derek, and sometimes he would like them, sometimes he would retweet them. And then I noticed one day I was working in Starbucks because I had a part-time job in Starbucks. And I remember my friend Kev, who plays Dick Feeler in Scariest Places, he came in and said, oh, Derek is in Ellesmere Port tonight. He's got a show. And I was like, oh, cool. He said, there's tickets if you want to go. And I was like, yeah. So anyway, so I tweeted Derek. And I said, oh, I hear you're in Ellesmere Port. Would love to do some filming after the show. And he went, yeah, sounds great. Come see me after the show. I was like, oh. And that was it. I was absolutely like, wow. So then we did when Merrick met Derek. And have you seen that one?
Yeah, it's so funny. I love it.
That was the first of it. And I just bought my first professional camera. So we'd stopped filming on iPhones and stuff. And I basically bought this Canon camera. And it was the first sketch that I'd filmed with it. And I wasn't nervous, but I remember sitting there when Derek said, because I watched the show and then I went and saw him and Gwen after, and he just said, so what do you want to do? I said, well, basically I played this character, Miracle Law, and he went, I know. I went, okay, cool. And I said to him, I said, so basically, I'm just going to improvise something. He's like, okay. I said, then you just shout at me at the end. And he's like, I can do that. I was like, okay, cool. So we did that, and then it went out the next day, and it got, I can't, about 6,000 or 8,000 views, I think it had. And then there's a guy called Mickey Go Cool, who was down in Essex way. Do you know Mickey?
Yeah.
So Mickey messaged me and went, do you want to come on a real paranormal investigation? I went, yeah. And so I said to Kev and Pete who played Carl Beatty, they both said, let's go. And then obviously my friend Bernie, who played the first version of Annette, we all travelled down to Essex and we just improvised a Scariest Places, like completely not scripted. And we had to work around the fact that Mickey had an actual paranormal show. It was at the Kelvedon Hatch Secret Bunker. And then when we got back, we pieced it all together and we were like, this is actually really good. So then it got a following. And then we were like, well, we need to do another episode. So we ended up then filming in Chester at the Victoria Inn. And then from there, I think we went to Ruthin Jail, which is in North Wales. And that's part council owned. So half of it's owned by the council, half it's like a museum. So again, we were on another paranormal event. I think Gary Fields was on that one with us. That was the first time I think I'd met Gary.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first times I'd met him. And we did the filming. We did an episode, and then that went out. So that was then the third episode. And then from there, we were invited to Derby Jail, where we then had a cameo from Richard Felix. And to this day is my favourite episode. Watching him and Kev call each other a dick on camera is the funniest thing you'll ever see. So that happened. And then from there we went to Pendle Hill. And we did an episode there. And then the last episode, what was that? Oh, Warwick Tudor House Inn. So and then the whole cast and crew fell out with each other. And then we didn't do anything. And then I think that was probably 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So then 5 years later, Scariest Places came back with the White Swan Inn, which is my local pub, which we normally film an episode in a day. So we would normally follow usually how most haunted would do it. You get in at 10, 11 o'clock in the day, you get all your B-roll, you do all your interviews, you do all your cutaways. And then in the evening, the whole cast and crew would come in, and then we would then do improvisational comedy. And then put it all together. Because I'd been so out of it and I'd already been working loads with clients, it took us 6 weeks to film it, because we were literally going into the pub at 12 o'clock at night to then start filming until 3, 4 in the morning. So we did that for 6 weeks. And then the week before Halloween, it was filmed and edited and uploaded. Have you seen the latest one?
I don't think I have, no.
Yeah, you'll have to get
it on YouTube. Is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
After this, I'll be like going on to YouTube and watching everything.
I love it.
Scariest Places, the White Swan Inn, or the White Swan Pub Halloween special, and that was not this Halloween before. And to be fair, it was so good to do it again after 5 years of not doing the show. It was really nice to come back, and it was just surreal. And obviously Kev left after Derby because we'd fallen out, and because of me, it was my fault. I think I got a bit big-headed, to be honest, and thought I listened to the wrong people, and I just made a few mistakes. But I held my head up high and said, "Look, I've been a bit of an idiot. Would you come back?" And he went, "Yeah."
Michael, can I just say that I really see, listening to you saying that and actually opening and admitting that, I've got so much respect for you.
Yeah.
So many.
I think it's easy when you be kind of, not that I've ever been a celebrity, but I have a following within the paranormal, or had a following within the paranormal, because I was going to events. We went to Paraforce, and people coming up and asking me for autographs, and so you do get to a point where you get a bit big-headed, whether you admit that or not.
I've still
I
got
think,
it somewhere. I've still got your autograph somewhere here.
but I think that is why the show failed. We all got ahead of ourselves and thought we were better than we actually were, and we lost sight of what was important. And that is easily done. But again, in a bad situation, you learn from it and you go,
Yes.
I won't do that one again. So then when it came to Morbid, my sitcom that was filmed 4 years ago, I made sure to have boundaries in place with my actors to make sure that, well, this is the script and that's how it's staying. And then also to make sure that I didn't get ahead of myself, because at the end of the day, regardless of how many people watch my shows that I create or how many people admire the work that I do, doesn't make me any more important than anybody else. And I think that was one thing. It was good to learn that at a young age in my early 20s. So going into my 30s now, I feel I'm a bit more rounded when it comes to working on productions and stuff. But it's just natural. It's natural to do things like that. And so when I came back to do Scariest Places, I was thankful that Kev had given me that chance to bury the hatchet and get on with it. And the great thing about Kev is the fact that he said, our friendship will always be a bit different than it was. I won't be as trusting with you, but I appreciate the fact that you've apologized, and that's the end of it now. We're good friends. And I'm like, okay.
That's a big person right there, Kev.
That's although we're at peace, I think the fact that he said that and made me think, I've changed the dynamics of a friendship forever.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing in a sense that it really kind of makes you not forget to do that to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I am the way I am now, where I'm all happy, lovey, want to see people succeed. And
I've never known you as anything else, though, Michael. Personally,
yeah, well, I'm not saying beforehand I was this horrible, arrogant.
Yeah, it was.
A little bit. But I think it is easy to lose sight of who you are. We've seen it with celebrities all over the place, where they get a bit of fame and then they change out of all recognition and they just become really horrible and nasty. And I always vowed to myself not to do that. So I think whatever I do in my life, no matter how successful I may become with the things that I do, I will always have both feet on the ground.
Yeah. Good for you.
Cheers.
Question. How's the dog, Molly?
She's alive still. Yeah, still kicking. She's 8.
How is she?
She's 8 years old. How mad's that?
Really?
Yeah, she's 8 now, yeah.
It's got a gorgeous dog.
It's what? She's a Jack Russell.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's pretty sound.
Beautiful. We need to see more pictures of Molly as well. Don't forget.
Oh, she's starting to look like rustic now. She's getting that whole rustic.
Oh, lovely.
8-year-old dog now, yeah. But she's still yappy. She's still, she's when you're in the bath, she still throws a ball in the bath, and you have to kind of pick it up and throw it, and then she'll come back and drop it back in again. She's still a puppy at heart. Oh, come on, you two, control yourself. Come on.
Oh, we love the dog.
I just love animals. I've got 2 cats, and my kitten's really bringing the kitten out in my big one because she's 6, and Eris is should be 9 weeks old, so hyperactive, honest to God. It's like having an ADHD when.
Nothing wrong with ADHD,
Oh.
Do you know, I've just come up with an idea for you later on. At some point, you should have a medium off on Scariest Places where you've got Gordon Smith, America Laura. Get all the mediums together and have a medium off.
Yeah, we always want. I mean, there's so many. The one thing that I've always wanted to do with Scariest Places to do a live, because obviously we're streaming now on StreamYard. I've got something that's called Ecamm, and so we can actually stream stuff, so it actually goes out live. And I wanted to spoof a live episode for this house. Where they used to have like 200.
The most haunted live, yeah.
And say, we've got Susan from Sussex that says she can see a dildo floating, and then they put the camera and they go, no, it's not a dildo. So, and all those kind of humours, although it's childish humour, things like that. You always get people saying, I can see this, I can see that, and it's that's something I'd really like to play with in terms of that humour and stuff, because it's stuff that, although Scariest Places is a comedy, we try to keep it as realistic, so that the unrealistic stuff of what like the likes of Merrick is saying, the really extravagant stuff that he's picking up on, that's what makes it funny. Because I used to watch Most Haunted and I used to laugh because it was just like, what was going on? You would naturally laugh, although you enjoyed watching it and you were excited to know what he was going to come out with. You naturally laugh because of that showmanship that Eric had, and the fact that everyone, like when they used to argue and stuff, when Derek was possessed, it's like, it's great TV. It absolutely pulls viewers in. So with Scariest Places, we always like to keep the seriousness with the hint of the humour thrown in. But then when Merrick comes, it's all like, all over the place.
Do you know what, Derek? I've got to mention Derek Acorah. I've got to. God rest his soul. He was a brilliant man, a lovely person, and he always smelled so good. His aftershave. So whether it was Gwen buying his aftershaves for him or whatever, like everywhere he went, people would comment, "What's that aftershave you're wearing? It's so good." But he was a
You know
great
what?
medium.
The fact that he let me do that spoof with him, and the fact that he was so gracious with it. I mean, I've always admired him. And I think what he did for me, he opened up a door for me to be able to do what I do. And if it hadn't been for him letting me do that, Scariest Places probably wouldn't have been as well known as it was had it not been Derek. So, although I play Merrick with pride, and it's not just. I mean, there's a lot of people that have taken off Derek in spoofs and sketches and stuff online and stuff, but I'm really proud to be Merrick. I'm really proud to be able to keep that essence of what Derek was alive. And I always, when it comes to writing sketches and scenes and writing the scripts for some of the stuff, I'm always cautious of making sure that I don't push it too far. So there is a level of respect that comes with playing him. But at the same time, without compressing the humor and going, we can't say that, we don't want to upset people. But sometimes you have to push the boundaries to keep that character alive. And I do like to think that I do play it in a respectful way. And if it hadn't been for Derek, then I suppose I wouldn't have met all the people like yourself that
it's like he gave you his blessing. Sort of.
He did, and I mean, it went on for a few years before we passed away. So obviously, and it was hard to bring it back after he'd passed away, because then I didn't know how Gwen would feel. But then I messaged her the night before to say, we're doing this. I hope it's okay. We'd really like to do something, to keep his memory alive. She did give me the blessing, and had she not have given me that blessing, I probably would have felt really bad about doing it. The fact that she let me do it. And obviously we'd dedicated that episode to Derek. And they've got the Pathfinder charity as well. So what we'll do is we'll always try and promote that through the work of Scariest Places. And I'll always check in with Gwen to make sure she's okay and with me doing that, because at the end of the day, it's still a human, still a person.
Exactly.
So I do hope that there are more episodes to be done, and people love seeing Merrick because it reminds them of that time, and we all miss Derek, so it is a privilege to do these shows, and it is a privilege to be able to keep Derek's spirit alive through Scary Places.
I want to just bring you sort of away from Scariest Places now for a bit.
Go on,
and talk about Morbid, because Morbid, wasn't it 10 years in the making? You wrote it years and years ago, and then you left it and then came back to it.
So Take the Cape Productions was built on Morbid, actually. So I wrote it when I was 18, 19, so 2007 I wrote it. And the first scene was written in a Starbucks in a coffee in a bookshop called Borders, and on Cheshire Oaks, and it was written, had the ideas for the characters. So there's Mike, Ashley, Elric, and Dave. So obviously I play Mike. Ashley is the real name of my real sister, Ashley. Dave was my closest friend in college when I was obviously writing the script, and said, "Oh, I'll give you a part," because we were both on an acting course together. So I said, "Oh, I'll write you a character." And Elric is a friend from school who actually got me into acting. He's a fantastic writer, a fantastic comedian, you think I'm happy and bubbly. He's everything that I've always aspired to be, because he's just got the biggest heart. And I always wanted him to be successful. I always wanted him to make it big, because he's got such a talent. I mean, although we are co-writers of Morbid, he makes me look good, and I know that. Although I write the odd joke here, he is the heart of the show. I think I wouldn't be able to have done it without him. And he plays himself, so he plays Elric, I play Mike. Then we've got two actors playing Ashley and Dave, and it's a brilliant show about a brother and sister who lose their mum and dad, and they have to run the family business, which is a funeral director's. And it was written in 2007, filmed in 2017, and then it was released in 2018/19. And it's been viewed about 45,000 times now, I think.
I remember you had the premiere in that was brilliant. That premiere.
That sold out within an hour. 250 seats sold in about 1 or 2 hours. Yeah, and we'd crowdfunded as well. I think we'd raised 5,000 on GoFundMe, and that just paid for bits and bobs, fuel and food for actors and stuff, and stuff for the extras. But it's completely different to Scariest Places, in the fact that Scariest Places is a bit of your fly on the wall documentary, whereas Morbid is a film style cinematic. So you can't get away with cameramen being in the shot. You have to be really serious. You have to really get those shots filmed properly. So that took a very long time to piece together. But we are in the process of trying to get investment for that. So this year there'll be a lot more posts about Scariest Places and Morbid, because it's been 4 years now since Morbid's been released.
We'll put it on Simply Spooky for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I think Morbid would be my sense of humour, because that's my sense of humour is quite dark. So that would be something definitely.
I bought a hearse off eBay, and
I remember this.
Bought a hearse off eBay, and I drove it all the way back from Essex. And the first thing I bought for the back window was, those baby on board signs, the little. I got I got a customized one that said body on board, and every time we were driving, it would just like shake at the back window that said body on board. And I used to drive around with an actual coffin and flowers with a big floral tribute that said Willie. I used to drive around all the time in it. I used to love it. It was brilliant.
I remember seeing a little thing that years and years ago, that I don't even know if it's still around, of you and a good friend of yours lighting sage. You must have just bought the hearse. And you lit some sage and tried to get in the back and sage it, because they've had dead bodies in here.
Yeah, that was
the funniest thing.
That was Karen. Me and Karen had gone down, and we were saging. We had a smudge stick, and we were saging the whole vehicle. I mean, I didn't bother me in the slightest, but apparently we had to sage it. And I don't think spirits attach themselves to vehicles that take them to the funeral. I don't think hearses are haunted.
I'll tell you a story about, just briefly, about a funeral director that I was talking to, who picks up bodies all the time. Is even called to what they call RTAs. You have to pick the body up and put them in. It's like a plastic thing. Anyway, he got called to an RTA, and he had to pick up a body. And he said it really upset him, because it was a little girl. Had been hit by a car, and he had to go and collect the body and take it somewhere. And he put her in the coffin, and he turned his radio on in his van. It's all very low key, all blacked out and everything. And he said he was fighting back the tears. he said, and he heard a knocking, and he thought that it was one of the wheels knocking or something, that something had gone wrong in the van. So he turned the radio down to listen to the knocking, and he heard a little girl giggling coming from the back of the van. He said,
Oh God.
he heard her giggling, and he said, I definitely heard her giggling because I went, shh, and she did it again, like she was laughing at him. And he said, that was the only time in all of my career as a funeral director I've actually ever heard anything, and it happened to be in this what would you call it? It's like a blacked out
The private
normal
ambulance.
van. Yeah, it's just a normal van. And he said the fact that she was laughing, he said, I had a little cry, but he said I cried with a smile because I knew she was okay. So I thought that was quite sweet when he told me that. Because what can you say to somebody after that? Because if that was me, I would have been emotional as well, because anything that involved children, it sort of pulls on people's heartstrings even more. Children and animals, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's really raw, isn't it? And I think again with Morbid, we wanted. I mean, there've been sitcoms about funeral directors in the past, but I think I think personally, I think the humour's always been misdirected. I think it's always been on the worst case scenario at a funeral, whereas I think actually celebrating people's lives, and I think the way in which the funeral industry is changing now. We've got the likes of Ricky Gervais again talking about afterlife. I think people's humours are changing. We're kind of, it's always been that stiff upper lip in England. And I think we are definitely waking up and changing our mindset and perceptions of life and death. And, you know, what funeral directors go through, years and years of what they go through, they kind of get a little bit numb to it all.
Yeah.
And I think they're just really courageous and brave people. And I think it's really, I'd love to do it justice. I always have that moral compass when it comes to writing comedy that although you're always going to offend somebody, I think if you have a moral compass with comedy, then you're on the right track.
Yeah, definitely.
I must admit, the biggest comedian that I've got the biggest respect for, and he passed, was Sean Locke. Sean Locke touched on the most, like, one of the moments you go, oh, don't. But he had a really respect for things that we're always taught we shouldn't laugh about. And the one person I never used to like up until a certain point was Jimmy Carr. And until, like, you know, I actually sat down and watched him, and I thought, you're actually quite funny. And it's his laugh that cracks me up anyway. And there was a scene with him and Sean, and it came up about the most annoying habit, and Sean Locke just took it to Jimmy Carr and said, "You're a nice guy," but he says, "Is that thing you do?" He goes, "Ah," he says, "where you come on and then you turn and you do that with your head." It was one of the most funniest scenes, honestly. But I think, as you say, in the 21st century, you've got to have some sort of humour. I mean, with my past, you know, I was cracking all jokes. Like when I went to get his order of service, you know, this woman handed me a book and said, you know, this is order of service, like pick a picture. I don't know these pictures in minutes the box heat and I'll take a picture. When she didn't know to laugh, you know. But I just
You're frozen. Is it me?
No. You froze a little bit.
She's still frozen. She's still frozen.
I can't hear you guys.
Oh, there you go. Internet's gone.
You're freezing up.
We got most of that, though, to be fair.
I must admit, for me, always will be, and it will never change. I have a love of the big yin himself, Billy Connolly, because he dared to take comedy to the places where nobody had before. And I think he was the first to do the toilet jokes, the wee jobbies. And he talks about some disgusting things, but you can't help but laugh. It's just the way he does it. To me, he's the king of comedy and always will be. But that's.
I think what it comes down to is the fact that I think I do worry for the future of comedy. I know this is a paranormal show, so I don't want to take too far away from comedy.
That's all right. We don't mind comedy.
But I do think that it's got to come a point where we kind of relax a bit, because nobody wants to offend anybody, but the whole root cause of comedy is to have a butt to a joke, to aim something at somebody or something, to get a reaction. And I think, I mean, when I've told jokes, I've told many jokes in my time. Never did I ever say these jokes to actually cause harm. And I think that's the difference between comedy and actually just being really horrible and nasty. It's comedy should just be comedy. And, you know, I think too many people get offended these days, which is fine. People are in their right to be offended. But at the same time, just because you're offended doesn't mean the joke isn't right or wrong.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to have to go because I'm getting my internet just keeps freezing.
Okay, well, I'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, call me after the show, honey.
All right, I will do.
Right, speak to you soon. Nice to meet you, Michael.
You too, bye.
So one of the funny things, I'm going to bring it back to Billy again. He did an interview with Parkinson. You can find it on YouTube, and it sort of reminded me a little bit of you and Merrick and Derek, where he talks about ghost hunting and does he believe in ghosts. And it's the funniest thing I've seen. And I was not offended at all. I'm a ghost hunter. I'm a medium. I'm jack of all trades. But when I watched that, I couldn't help but laugh, even though he was really, I mean, he was swearing about it and all sorts. But I didn't take offence, and I thought it was quite funny, and I laughed along with everybody else. In fact, I was crying with what he was saying, crying with laughter. And if somebody can make me cry with laughter, I think they've got an amazing talent that they should hold on to. You know, regardless of what knocks you get, I think you hold on to that talent and you take it to somebody who does appreciate it. And that's it.
Yeah. Oh, no. Absolutely agree with that. I think comedy's helped so many people in the world. And I do hope that it comes back around in terms of, you know, it's okay to be offended. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
And there has always been a golden rule with comedy in the fact that there is a line in comedy. There is a point you go to. But then you have some comedians that feel that overstepping that line is actually funnier. And it's like, well, no, there is a dynamic to being humorous. I was working with Ken Dodd a few years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'd met him a few times, and no word of a lie. People don't believe me. I know this. So I've got, is it this thumb or that thumb? It's that thumb. I've got a scar. I've got a scar here.
Right.
And it actually is Ken Dodd's Jack Russell. We were getting ready for his show, and he'd come in and he had his dog, because his dog used to sit in the green room, and he was talking to one of the sound engineers on stage, and I love a dog, went to stroke him, and I just went to stroke him on the head, and he turned around and he nipped my thumb, and I have got a mark here. But honest to God, Ken Dodd's dead dog did bite me.
You could do a joke out of that, couldn't you?
Well, no, I mean, a lot of people say that. Like, it is already a well-known joke. But I am telling you now, it generally happened to me. It did happen, yeah. And I remember he turned around and went, yeah, don't pet the dog. I went, okay. But I was speaking to him after the show, and he said to me, I just said, can I just have a quick word? And he said, yeah, sure. So he says, come into the dressing room. So I go into the dressing room, and he'd just done like a 5-hour show. It was like 1:30 in the morning. And I just loved the fact that he said to me, yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes. What do you want? And I just said, you know what is the key to success when it comes to comedy? And he basically turned around and just said, try not to be blue. Don't swear. Don't try to offend anybody. Always be happy and stick to what you know. And I
Yeah.
thought that's so true. So, like, although I don't know anything about funeral directors or anything about being I do know how to be a paranormal investigator and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it came to Morbid, I didn't know anything about funeral directing, but I knew about my relationship with my sister, my relationship with the Dave character, with the Elric
Yeah.
character. I knew how they would control the situation. So you do write what you know, just because it's in a different situation.
Yeah.
You might not know about. And we did a lot of research into funeral directors, and I've got some really good friends who are funeral directors that basically gave me a helping hand. And if it hadn't been for them, I wouldn't be where I am now. But even when I'm writing things, I will link it to an ex-girlfriend or a friendship that broke down or something that's happened in my life. I will take things from and I will use that emotion in a script or a scene,
Yeah.
or I will
Yeah.
turn something on its head to make it funny. And so everything when I look at everything that I write, it is linked to some person, something that has happened in my life. And if you ever watch Morbid, I mean, I think in Scariest Places I think we've sworn once or twice, but not much. But I do try to not swear at all in any of the comedy that I do. And I always try to make everything happy and bubbly. So I've always kept true to what Ken said to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just think, I mean, comedy plays a big part in my life. And that's why I really enjoy Scariest Places, because it's that chance to kind of mix the paranormal with the comedy and to just have a really good time with it. You know, people take life far too seriously, and you really shouldn't. I'm the most relaxed and chill person that you will ever meet in the history of the world. So yeah.
He is.
Don't get me when I'm angry though. When I'm hangry, I'm horrible to everyone.
So, question: camera work, because you're a cameraman.
I try to be.
You know about cameras. If I want to know anything about cameras, I wouldn't go to anybody else. I'd come to Mike and say, Mike, could you tell me I'm blah blah blah, and he'd answer it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the normal layperson, doesn't know anything about cameras, Viv, for example, she wants to go and use a camera on a ghost hunt. You know, you get all this myth. You've got to have this camera, that camera, or you've got to have this camera with this telescopic whatever do for what's it, and this button on there.
For what's it?
the biggest camera, expensive camera. What are your advice to somebody starting out that wants to buy a camera, or can they use their phone? Can they go and investigate with that and still get as much? Do they need to have a big infrared camera?
I mean, if it's that, they need a night vision camera if they're going to be doing stuff in the dark. But it's really, because when we first did the Scariest Places, I think that was done on like a £60. No, it was on my first proper camera, so that was like £1,000. But I mean, obviously I wanted to be a filmmaker. That's why I had £1,000 camera. But any camera, you know, I teach people how to film on their smartphone, because it's not. It's got nothing. To a degree, it's got nothing to do with the camera itself. What it has got something to do with how you compose a shot, how you light a shot. 70% of any professional-looking video is created through light. I mean, it's not the greatest light that I've got tonight. But
I haven't either.
It's eye-catching. I've got one light bouncing off the wall that gives me a fill, and then I've got this little side light here that is giving me a little side fill. But then I've got the main lights off. So, you know, although I could have maybe done a better job at setting the scene.
No, it looks good. It looks good.
It's all right, so yeah.
Yeah.
So so 70% is it's all lighting, how you compose a shot, how you get good sound, how you get good, nice, stable image. Filmmaking is not just about press and record. There's loads of aspects that come together to create something that looks professional. But the key things are good, stable shot, clear and crystal crystal clear sound. Lighting is important because the sensor in the camera has to pick up the image, and if it can't, if it's too dark, you won't be able to see anything. If it's too bright, you won't be able to see anything. So you have to get the lighting right for the sensor to be able to pick up the image properly. And so what I'm saying in a very roundabout way is any camera will work, providing you have a little bit of knowledge, and you can watch loads of things on YouTube to understand how to get basic looking decent footage. So yeah, GoPros are okay, iPhones are great. If you want to take it seriously, you know, DSLRs are great cameras. So, you know, yeah, I suppose in some ways it doesn't really matter what you've got, providing that you've got some knowledge of how something should look, and that takes time. I'm self-taught. I didn't go to college or university to study film. I'm self-taught, you know, so if I can do it without actually having any degrees or diplomas, then anyone can bloody do it. Right?
But then you do run classes and workshops, don't you? So if anyone wants
I do
to
now,
go
because I've had my business 10 years now, so obviously I've been doing this for a very long time. So knowledge is power, isn't it?
But it's nice that you sort of passing that knowledge on to other people to take and do what they want.
So I do a lot of networking. So I'm part of networking groups where I work with other people. And usually when you join a networking group, you're only allowed to have one profession per seat. So if I joined a group, then no other filmmaker could join, because everyone in the room is then going to help me get business and I help them get business. So you normally allow anyone that does what you do to sit in the room. I ran my own networking group every 2 weeks, and a photographer came along and wanted to get involved, but we already had a photographer, and he said, oh, it's fine, we do 2 different styles of photography, it's absolutely fine. Anyway, he then says to me, I want to learn videography and I want to actually make a production company. I want to get away from taking photos. And I said, I'll teach you. Because at the end of the day, I was taught by a great guy called John Scotland, who I was working at the Film on a Call as a stage technician. That's obviously when I worked with like the likes of Ken Dodd and stuff. And I'd only just started the YouTube stuff, and I wanted to understand how to make film. So this guy, John, who was making a professional video, came along and he gave me some help and support and told me how to do this and how to do that, what cameras to buy. And so if someone can pass their knowledge on to me and I've made a career out of it, then surely the right thing to do is to do that to somebody else and pass your knowledge on to someone else. Because 9 times out of 10, John's passed me business because he's been too busy to be able to. Do you know Ben Neal?
Ben Redhead.
Yeah, I was going to say Redhead, but I thought Ben Redhead. He messaged me today saying that there might be some work that he might not be able to do because of his commitments with other things. And I just think instead of being insecure and pushing people away that do the same thing that you do, embrace them, learn from them, you know, give them advice, they give you advice, and potentially it might give you some work down the line. So, you know, I don't see anyone as competition. People invest in me because they like my aura, my
personality.
All those things are important. So instead of trying to be the best businessman in the world, the first thing I do in my business is be the best person in the world, be the best version of myself. So if I can be the best version of myself, then every decision that I make in business is usually a reasonably good decision to make. So,
but no, it's been going from strength to strength. So I've watched over the years. I've seen you grow and grow and grow and grow, and I'm really pleased for you. I'm proud of you as a friend, but also I'm intrigued to see what you do next, because
me too.
You've got some things in the pipeline. Hopefully, Scariest Places will continue, but Morbid is coming back. Is it not coming back?
Yeah, I mean, it never went away, really. It's just we're in just a position where we don't have £500,000 to film an independent sitcom. Well, probably not. Probably just a bit less than that. But it's expensive, especially if you're filming something at the level of Netflix. So, you know, hiring equipment and locations and paying actors and extras and food and catering and all that, it all comes at a price.
Yeah.
you've got all the paperwork, then you've got all the process, and then if you want any music from artists, you've got to pay for rights, and you know, and then you've got your marketing, and then it's never ending, a production company, a production. So yeah, and because we're independent, we've never done it before. It's a massive challenge. But I said to Elric this year, I said, that's it. It's been 4 years now. We're doing it. We are going to find the answers. We're going to push through. We're going to be cheeky. We're going to be persistent. I'm fed up now. I'm not fed up of making videos for businesses, but this is not my true calling. My true calling is getting a show onto Netflix, or my true calling is writing comedy. My true calling is being an actor. And I think I've spent far too much time now not focusing on other things. I mean, obviously we've had a pandemic and we've had the business going by diversifying and doing other things, but I don't want to get to 50 and go, oh, that sitcom I wrote and filmed, that would have been nice if I'd have done something with it. You know, I just think to myself, like, life is far too short. And, you know, you can fail in life, and Jim Carrey said this, you can fail in life doing something that you don't like. So you might as well fail doing something that you do like. And I think that is so spot on. I know that I am better than just making promotional videos for businesses. I'm absolutely wasted doing it, but I enjoy it and I help businesses. It's not, I'm not fed up of it.
No.
I know that my true calling is writing comedy, being an actor, and entertaining people and making people feel warm and fuzzy and
lovely inside.
Lovely inside, yeah. So yeah. So this year it's like, no, I'm done now. I've got to really take.
Well, I was going to say, if anyone knows any super rich millionaires that want to put any money into your production, just head on over. Get them to head on over to Take the Cake Productions and send you an email.
Do for now.
Do what? Sorry?
A blank check will do for now.
A blank check?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been super duper talking to you tonight.
Well, what we're going to do is you're going to invite me down to Oxford. Cambridge. Why do I always think it's Oxford. Anyway, you're going to invite me down to Cambridge. I'm going to come down for the weekend. We're going to have loads of food, loads of days out. We're going to have a bloody good catch up, and we will do some paranormal shit. I need to get back into paranormal. I've missed going on events. I'll
send you a list of what's happening this year, and you can decide which ones you want to come on with Gary as well, if Gary wants to come as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get Gary out.
We haven't done a paranormal investigation for ages together. So, but the Ram Inn would be brilliant. Skirridin is another one. I'm trying to think
Chester Mansion.
I've never been. Is that's the about? Didn't Most Haunted do a live there with Chester Mansion?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was the summer solstice or the winter solstice. They did a live, I think, there. I think. Is that the one with the big massive staircase?
That is, I know where that is. Why have I gone blank? That's in That's near Swansea, isn't it? That's
and there's I know what you mean as well. There's the prison. Is it Shrewsbury? Is it
Shrewsbury?
Yeah, I'd like to do the big prison, Victorian prison.
Yeah.
So yeah, and maybe I could bring Merica Laura along.
I've got some great places that I can tell you about. But we'll talk about that there.
Just drop me a date one weekend and let me know when you're free, and I'll come down because I've got the camper van, so I can sleep on your drive. So it's all good.
I've got some spare bedrooms here.
Well, I'd just do that instead then.
Depends how you feel.
I don't mind. You know I like to sleep on the van. I do it on the drive sometimes just to say that I've got away for the night.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I sleep on the driveway sometimes purely for the fact that I enjoy.
Because you love your van. Markham Castle. That's it, Gary. He knew. Bless him. The castle that Most Haunted went to with the big stairway.
Yeah, that's it. No, there's just low. I mean, I just want to get out there. I want to get back out there because it's been longer than 4 years since I was in the paranormal world, and I feel like I don't know anybody now. Well, I do know people, but
of course you do.
I feel like I need to get. I don't see much paranormal stuff on my feeds anymore, so it would be nice to kind of get back into that all and do some events and yeah, just go looking for ghosts in the dark. Like, I miss it. Absolutely miss it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll get
So,
you out. We'll
that
get you
sounds
out.
good.
Right. I'm going to end the show here. Don't go anywhere.
Mhm.
If anyone does want to chat or reach out to Michael for anything, the links, I didn't put a link up, but I put what it was where you can contact him. Just reach out to him. No questions too silly, honestly. If it's a silly question, he'll give you a silly answer, but it will be a nice silly answer. You'll be laughing.
Yeah, be respectful.
Yeah. I am back next Tuesday on the Things Network, and I am back on here next Wednesday with Dan if he's able to, because he's not been very well. And we do have a guest. For the life of me, I can't remember who the guest is. I'm just too wrapped up in Michael at the minute. Can't think of anything else. And Lois is on tomorrow night with the crime show, and she's back with the Frighteners on Friday night.
Let's
as
hope her
normal.
internet's better.
Yes. So, thank you again, Michael. I'm going to leave last words with you. Anything you want to say?
Pressure. No, it's just an absolute joy, and thank you so much for letting me come along. And it's been so bubbly being back in the paranormal and being able to talk about spirituality again. It's not often you get to openly have those conversations with people. So absolutely thank you to everybody that's listened, and thank you, Viv, for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Cambridge.
And you're going to come back on the show again, aren't you?
Always.
Let's know your ghost hunt when. You come on every week if you want. We don't mind.
I could probably do that. Yeah.
Right, take care, everyone, and we'll speak to you soon. Mind how you